Hello, hello. Um, Apologies in advance if you guys are hearing a lot of background today. I am having an insane amount of hot flashes, but this is a mess, so I know you get it. Okay, so today's episode actually has nothing to do with chronic illnesses or MS. It actually has to do with the news of Harvey Weinstein's verdict being overturned in his state of New York trial. And so I know from the readings, it was a 4-3 vote to overturn his conviction because the judge allowed testimony from victims of Harvey Weinstein to testify, even though their experiences were not what was being tried. So I guess that was illegal in some way. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but that was the case that they were trying to make. And, for those of you that have been deep diving and reading and trying to consume all of the information that you can, I saw that, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's, getting out anytime soon or that's happening, because he was also found guilty for a rape in Los Angeles that he also has to serve time for. So I don't think that that's something that we have to be too anxious about or worried about, but it's infuriating nonetheless. And I haven't talked about this publicly. My close friends and family know about my experience with sexual assault, but I just really felt moved to talk about it now with you all. I think, this whole news cycle has been triggering in so many ways. I have very, very dear friends that have been sexually assaulted, much more horrific and heartbreaking stories than my own. I think that there's a statistics are saying that, there isn't anyone that doesn't know someone that has experienced sexual assault. There's no woman that hasn't been harassed. I think it's just not even possible for a female to not experience some type of harassment in her lifetime. But so again, the list is unfortunately a little long in terms of women that I know personally that have been victims. And the most that I can attribute my feelings to is rage, plain and simple. Exhaustion. I'm just so very, very tired. And again, just felt the need to tell my story. Most of you know that I am in the entertainment industry. I produce events for films and film festivals, and I'm also a filmmaker. I'm a director and a producer. And so I'm very much in love with the Hollywood of everything. La La Land was always a dream of mine and still is. And I just fell in love with the magic of movies and never really considered the dark side of it when I moved out to Los Angeles in 2012. I think that what's really important to state, and I hope that everyone that is listening knows this or believes me when I say this, is that I believe you and your voice matters, and it wasn't your fault. It's something that I struggle with to this day, 10 years later, with my role, or what I feel like was my role in my assault. So to back up, as I said, I plan and produce events for films and film festivals. I have my own company now, which is amazing. But there was a time where I was just a festival employee. We called ourselves festival gypsies, because you would work a festival. You'd come on board as an employee for usually like 3 to 5 months, and you would prepare for that festival, work that festival, and then you'd pack up your bags and move to another city or country and do it all over again. So I would do a cycle of living in Utah, living in New York, living in LA, living in France, living in Florida, living in DC, and just kind of living in Chicago, just doing this kind of loop, Texas, of gigs and working these festivals and preparing for these festivals year round. I would just have like a storage unit or have my items with a friend that I could kind of switch out my bags between fests. I would visit family in between my breaks. Didn't even have an apartment, did not have a permanent address. My mail would go to my mom's, because I was a gypsy. I was a festival gypsy. And I mean, it was a time. That's a whole nother episode in of itself, where I would want to like bring people on to talk about. I don't know why there hasn't been a reality show on that, because it's hard to describe, 8 people living in a house in the mountains that don't know each other, working, 19 hours a day straight for 3 weeks. It was a wild time. It was an amazing time. It was an experience. And this is when this happened to me. It was when I was a festival employee. I had a host of events that I was responsible for. And it was great because I could invite my friends to come out and party. And so this particular festival was in New York City. This was in 2015. And so many of my friends from Hampton were living in New York at the time. And it was just a reunion and a party. It was free food, free alcohol. It was just, I was like the cool kid, because I had the end to all of these Hollywood film parties. And I was working, checking on some of my staff that was at the door of a particular party. I had a lot of friends coming that night. It was a big party. I had planned to kind of hang out and party myself. It was towards the end of the festival. The vibe at festivals, that the festival culture is that you are allowed to drink, you're allowed to socialize, at these events, as long as you kind of managed yourself. It wasn't really frowned upon if you, hung out, at the end of one of your parties. I don't know what's going on with my hair today, but sorry for those of you guys that are viewing. So yeah, you could drink, you could hang out, as long as your work was done. New York City, it was chill. So I had planned to have a lot of friends come, and I was going to make sure to hang out a little longer. I didn't have an early morning that morning. So the next morning. So, I'm at the door, and a celebrity comes, an attractive celebrity that we all know, comes to the door, and he immediately kind of approaches me, is flirtatious, asking me, do I work here? Where am I from? When am I getting off? And so, we have this kind of exchange, and, he asked me to find him later. And, it's fun. It's cute. I'm in my, early 30s, just, enjoying being single. Some of my staff, some of my friends saw this interaction. Everyone's kind of giggly because it's this celebrity. I can't believe that, I'm flirting with this celebrity. And it was crazy because he was actually working with the festival in another capacity. So he was being treated as like a VIP. He had a driver, he had a handler, he had kind of just the red carpet rolled out for him at this particular festival. And he had just had rumors, or not rumors, but the buzz around him for a film that was going to be coming out that, Hollywood had decided was like the it kind of movie. And so he just kind of had a lot of buzz, and that made him more attractive. As the night went on, I kind of wrapped up my team, felt that they were in a good place. And even my kind of boss or manager was like, go enjoy, if you've been working so hard this festival, enjoy your friends. So I kind of go down to the party. My friends have some drinks waiting for me, and we have a good time. Just hanging out, drinking. I lost track of how much I had been drinking. I was overserved, as we sometimes like to joke. I had too much to drink, and I run into this actor again, and I am feeling myself. I'm feeling loose. I'm being more assertive. I'm being more outspoken, more aggressive, just, letting him know that I'm into him, letting him know that he can let me know he's into me. And we decide to go to another spot with some other friends of mine, and things got weird. He had some other women there coming to meet him, and it became very, just a lot of public displays of sexual behavior that I became uncomfortable with, and my friends became uncomfortable with. And we decided to leave. So we're like, let's get out of here. Let's go. I was staying at a hotel that was the festival hotel as a gift, because it was the end of the festival. And because I had done such a good job, they had said that I could stay at the hotel for the last 2 nights of the fest instead of going up to my sublet in Harlem. So I had one of my staff who was staying out in Long Island. I had given her a key to my room and said that she could crash, down in the city, downtown, so that she wouldn't have to, do that commute. Those of you that know where Long Island is or know where Harlem is, I was like up Harlem, like 147th in Frederick Douglass. So it was a trek to get downtown. And that had kind of happened earlier. Certainly didn't remember that, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to my hotel, get to my room. Maybe I'm there for, 10, 15 minutes. I was still in my clothes. I hadn't changed yet into pajamas. And there's a knock at my door. So I go to answer the door. Again, I had a lot of friends in New York. I'm thinking maybe one of them was still downtown. I'm not super concerned. I go to the door, and there is that actor. And to be honest, I wasn't scared. I don't know if it was because I was inebriated, but I didn't have that kind of spidey sense. That didn't happen yet. I opened the door and let him in. I don't know how he knew my room number. I think that plays a lot into my guilt, because I had so much to drink. I have to think that I told him my room number. I don't know how else he would have had it. And I don't think that he, went into my phone, or, I don't know, but I'm not sure how he even knew where I was. And it didn't click to me to ask that at the time. Again, when you are under the influence, everything just is slower. Reactions are slower. And so I let him in. We kind of talked for a little bit, and I'm in like a junior suite. So it's kind of like a little couch area, kitchenette type thing. And then like the bedroom is kind of off. So we're in the living room part of the room. And I mean, I think I just want to remind everyone, like, I liked this person. I was starstruck. I had a crush. Couldn't believe this was like happening to me. I was excited. I wasn't scared. Somehow, you know, conversation continues and we start to kiss. Willingly kiss. I was excited, but it turned aggressive, and I asked him to slow down. He didn't. I told him that he was hurting me. He didn't care. Said that it was what I wanted and that he knew that I liked it. My voice, I must have gotten louder. I didn't really fight back. I just kept asking him to stop and telling him that he was hurting me. But I must have gotten louder, or must have gotten louder, because the moment that things kicked into me that I was afraid, or that I was not in control of the situation, in that split second that my mind realized the situation that I was in, and that fear and that panic started to kick in. Right after that, there was this little voice of my coworker saying, "Marty," and we both froze, me and this actor, because I had completely forgotten that I had given her my key. I completely forgotten that she was like in the room, and I was so drunk that I had never made it back into the room. I was still in this living room area, like on my phone, on the couch, you know, just who knows what I was doing. And my eyes are huge because I hear her and I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, you know, and I say her name and she says my name again. And you hear her kind of rustling to move. And he backs up, kind of like looks at me a little disgusted, and then leaves the room. And as he's leaving, my friend is coming into the living room and sees him as he's on his way out. And she's just like, was that? And, you know, says his name. And at this point, I'm trembling, I'm shaking. I completely sobered up. Just so shaken. And she asked me if it's him. I kind of nod, but I don't tell her what happened. And she is kind of high-fiving me. She's like, oh, okay, all right, check you out. Like, you know, like it was a good thing that I had bagged this guy and that this was fun. You know, she didn't catch any of my demeanor, and I didn't tell her what was going on. And I just kind of smiled and said that I needed to go to bed, that I had a headache. So we went to bed, and the next morning, she's still teasing me about this night that I had, and that she can't believe that I hooked up with, or that I, you know, had this actor over. And the messages in my phone from friends were asking me like how it went with him, because their last kind of recollection of my encounter with him was that we were willingly into each other. And I just was sick to my stomach, because I realized that I probably wasn't going to be believed. I mean, you know, first of all, I was drinking on the job, whether it was allowed or not. I was drunk on the job, and this person was being courted by the festival, by my employer, was in headlines in a really positive way. And I was drunk at work. And anyone that saw us, it appeared and looked like a consensual connection. And I was terrified that maybe someone even saw me tell him my room number, or that I had given him my room number. And so all of these thoughts are in my mind, and I felt like I couldn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I never said anything. And I saw him that next day at the festival, and he was so dismissive to me. It was like I didn't exist. It was like I was nothing. And I felt like nothing. It's like so many of us, I continued with my job. I laughed it off. I let people think that I had had this consensual experience with this person, and tried to put it behind me. I wound up seeing him again after his film premiered at another festival that I was working at, and I had been assigned some of his events, and I requested to be moved to a different assignment. No one really understood why, but they changed my assignments, and I thought I could get through the festival without seeing him, but I wound up seeing him again at something that I was not expecting to. And I was put right back into that kind of helpless state. It had been a year since that incident when I ran into him again, and I felt just as small. Fast forward, I think just even a year after that, things started to come out about him, and more people, I would say globally, now knew what type of person that he was, and that he had been in these types of situations with much worser outcomes than my own. And I felt stronger in that moment to start to share with my friends and family what had happened to me, because I felt like, okay, maybe now they would believe me, since these headlines, and there was just more to validate my story. I felt I could be strong enough to share that now. And I know that there's so many of women out there that don't have that. The person that harmed them has maybe never been held accountable, or no one would ever believe them, and they've stayed silent. And so I know that I was really fortunate in so many ways. One, that I had someone there in that room with me. I try not to think about, because I get too upset about what would have happened if I had been in that hotel room alone with him. Fortunate that the truth about him did eventually kind of come out. There's just so many, I was covered in so many ways. So I'm forever grateful for that. And it's just this reminder of the people that I know personally that don't have that same favor and fortunate outcome that I did. And so when I read this article or the news about Harvey Weinstein, it just makes you feel small again. It makes you regret speaking out. It makes you relive these experiences all over again. And it's crazy because with my brain fog, with just my life memory, I don't have that clear of memories of things. But this particular horrific night, I remember every detail 10 years later. And my heart breaks for the victims of Harvey Weinstein. My heart breaks for all of the women that are working in this industry of film, because to be honest, like, that's just one story that I have. That's the worst. But the fact that I know I have so many others, from microaggressions to blatant disrespect to being sexualized constantly in this business, because that power dynamic that is there, it truly, I really hope that for those that don't understand or that don't get it, I really hope that you can try to understand how powerless you feel, and that you have no choice but to say yes because of the position that this person has over you, that they will be the ones to be believed. They are the ones that are in charge. They are the ones that can end your career with just one phone call. I mean, that's the thing. I was just starting in the festival space. If I had spoken up and let that be the headline for me, and let that be the stamp and the sticker of, that's the girl that had that happen to her at such and such festival, my career would have been over. And to have to make that choice, to have to be forced to make a decision with standing up for yourself and protecting yourself and defending yourself at the risk of losing your livelihood, is so unfair. It's so unfair. And so I don't have that. There's not an anecdote here or a positive end, to this episode. I think that the most important thing that kind of ties back to everything I always want to talk about is forgiving yourself and giving yourself that grace, and know that whether you spoke up or didn't, you getting up, you living, you doing every day, that is you fighting back, and that is you defending yourself. And you did the best that you could, and it was not your fault. There's just no world, there's no way, there's no shape, there's no scenario where it's your fault. And I just really, really, really hope that you believe that, and that you believe me. And just know that some days it's harder for me to believe, but it's the truth. This wasn't your fault, and this wasn't my fault. And I'm just hopeful that this world will change. Doesn't seem like it right now, but I'm holding on to that hope, and I hope that you will too. And I love you. I'll talk to you guys next week.